There seems to be two different ways to talk about hipsters. On the one hand, you have this legacy of self-serious, philosophically inclined, anti-war radicalists who kind of defined the counterculture of the mid and perhaps later 20th century. And then there's today's use of the term, which seems to describe, perhaps quite cynically, people who like to put things in mason jars, wear woolly jumpers not dissimilar from the one that I'm wearing, skinny jeans, glasses, facial hair. Again, you might be getting suspicious that I am fitting the bill, but nonetheless, it's a really interesting question. What is a hipster? Let's take Norman Mailer, who was a writer in the US in the early 20th century. Now, in the 1950s, he published an article which was entitled "The White Negro: Superficial Reflections on the Hipster." What he talked about in that article was how it was white groupies, basically, following the massive and sweeping jazz revolution of the 1920s and 30s in the United States, who wanted so badly to be like these musicians that they were appropriating aspects of this jazz culture to try and make it their own. This theme of appropriation, of taking something and making it yours, is a constant theme throughout different interpretations of hipster up to the contemporary today. Jack Kerouac, 10 years before, wrote about hipsters as being symbolic of the Beat generation, a generation of young people who were disenfranchised with 20, 30, 40 years of war and who were now experimenting with drugs and religions and new philosophies. These two streams continually combat each other to come to where we are today, where hipster is the source of much belittlement as a term, but simultaneously indicating a very long-standing tradition of counterculture or radicalism or avant-gardism. So that brings us to today. When we call someone a hipster today, are we saying that they are a revolutionary, a hippie, a radicalist? Or are we saying that they're a tryhard, someone who is only superficially participating in a cultural movement? Now, it seems to be the latter, but there's a problem. If that is the case, what are hipsters trying to be? What are we accusing hipsters of only superficially achieving? This is the problem with the contemporary use of the word. We don't seem to have any ultimate goal. Hipsters seem to be trapped in this halfway zone between doing nothing and being something.